to become a sponsor with packages starting as low as $90. So very affordable. Get your name out there and help us support us and help us support these great schools. Of course, a lot of great action. We covered the game here yesterday where IHA defeated Pennsbury 5-0. Today, obviously, out to a lead 7-1. Tomorrow we'll be at St. Peter's Prep calling a lacrosse game.
That's right.
It'll be St. Peter's against Montclair Kimberly. We'll have that game at 4 o'clock right here on this channel. That'll be myself and Mark Insera with the call on that one. Should be a good matchup, and we're just about started here. Just about ready to get started here in the bottom of the third inning. And stepping in is Jana Sharma, the catcher, hitting .625 coming into today's game. Reached on an error in her last at-bat. And the first pitch is in there for a called strike, 0-1.
As you mentioned, early season batting averages are fun. As everyone's hitting well.
It's almost my favorite kind of batting averages of the year. Pitch on the way, fouled away. And the count quickly 0-2.
Sharma, .625, as Joe mentioned. 1 home run, 2 RBIs, run scored, and a stolen base on this young season. Also has a double to her credit.
Sharma, a senior, starting for the first time as she swings and misses at the pitch in the dirt. And she will head back on into the dugout after the swinging strikeout, the second strikeout of the day for Dominique DeAndrea. And boy, the first time today that she's retired the leadoff batter, that is a big mental block for her to get over.
And she did stay in the game. Head coach Candy Dean showing some faith in her pitcher. Wonder if doing something on the offensive side may have helped her jitters and feel a little better as she came back out onto the mound. That first pitch was taken inside for a ball.
Emily Cieslak, right-handed batter. Takes called strike. Count now 1-1.
Flew out to left in the first to end the first big scoring inning for IHA.
I was right. That was on that ball kind of hit down the line as the pitch misses upstairs. 2 balls and a strike. Scoreboard shows the count as 3-0, but
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, that is incorrect. Not that anybody running the scoreboard can hear me. So the pitch is in there for a strike. The count now 2-2.
Cieslak hitting .200, struggling to get things going. Does have a double to her credit and 2 RBI.
The pitch swung on and missed. And perhaps it was I who was mistaken, as Cieslak is not heading to the bench and nobody from St. Joe's is getting up and shouting that she should be out. So the count now 3-2. And Cieslak calls time and will step out of the box, take a couple of hacks, and then step back in.
I counted 2 for sure, so we know we're at 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Could have swore that second pitch was a cold strike, and I could have swore I saw Vic Sacramento put up 1-1 as that one is foul tipped into the glove of Carly Testa, and that will be strike number 3. So 2 strikeouts to start the inning for Dominique DeAndre, who seems to have settled down a little bit. And they'll bring up Emily Walter, who led off last inning by walking. She then stole second base and came around to score on the Reese Guevara double.
Walter's second stolen base on this young season, hitting .250 with an RBI and a run scored, not counting what she's done today.
Pitch on the way. In there for a called strike.
You mentioned DeAndrea settling in. St. Joe's may just worry it's too little too late. That's quite the deficit they have in front of them.
Walter way out in front of the pitch, and she fouls it down the third base line. The count now 1 ball and 2 strikes to her. (7-1) here in the bottom of the third in favor of the IHA Blue Eagles as the pitch misses outside from Dominique DeAndrea. Came into this game with a 3-0 record and a 1.42 ERA on the season. I can't do the math this quickly in my head, but I suspect that ERA has gone up a little bit today as the pitch is fouled off. And we'll do it again at 2-2.
Exponentially so, I would imagine. Giving up more runs in this game, almost over double what she's given up in the first 3 games.
Walter waves the bat over her head a little bit, and she takes a pitch that, boy, that one didn't miss by much. And you hear some groans coming from the St. Joe's fans who've made the 2-hour-plus trip up from Hamilton, New Jersey. And ground ball goes up the middle, and that's going to be a base hit into center field for Emily Walter. So put her down for a single up the middle, and that'll bring up Juliana Kacha, and at very least will clear the 9 spot.
That's right. You could tell DeAndrea wanted that 1-2-3 inning. Couldn't quite get it, but the good news for her is the 9 spot is up, and Kacha has struggled early on, 125 in 3 games.
And Kacha struck out looking in her first at-bat. Pitch on the way. Misses for a ball, snap throw back to first, but Walter back in safely.
Walter, once again, 2 stolen bases on the season, has 1 today.
Pitch misses upstairs.
Got to watch that lead. Of course, they can't leave the base until the ball leaves the pitcher's hand.
The 2-0 on the way. Cut on and fouled back. Count now goes to 2 balls and a strike.
Swinging for the fences there by Kacha. No home runs yet, no RBIs either.
Excuse me, 1 ball and 2 strikes is the count. My mistake that time. I got them all confused and backwards. Ground ball goes to shortstop, fielded by Sicoli. She fires across the diamond to Kerr, and that will end the inning. And so for the first time in this game, IHA fails to scratch across a run as they are set down nearly in order. 2 strikeouts in the inning, just the 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on. We'll head to the top of the 4th. The score, the IHA Blue Eagles 7 and the St. Joe's Hamilton Wildcats 1.
Big deficit for the visiting team, St. Joe's. The Wildcats have 6 runs to make up and not a lot of time left to do it. About 3 more trips to the plate. And Steph Thomas, as you mentioned, is dealing, giving up only 2 hits and 1 run, both of them in the last inning against St. Joe's here. And St. Joe's is a very good offensive team.
He certainly will. Thomas goes out to start a 4th inning. She has pitched every inning of the season for IHA. Well, she's just their rubber arm, as many softball pitchers are. She goes out looking to put together a 1-2-3 inning herself. She had one of those back in the 2nd. Struggled a little bit in the 3rd. It'll be interesting to see how she comes out here in the top of the 4th. She'll be facing Olivia Kerr, Michaela Power, and Catherine Bromiley.
And don't forget, St. Joe's is a very good offensive team. Came into this game hitting .420 as a team with 3 home runs already.
First pitch is a ugly swing and a miss that time by Kerr, and the count moves to 0-1.
Kerr off to a hot start, hitting .750, 1 home run, 5 RBI, and 3 runs scored.
Yeah, and her 2 doubles lead the team as well. So that pitch missed a little bit low. I believe 1-1. See, it's interesting because there is, as I turn away, a fan stationed directly between me and the umpire. So that pitch is fouled down the right field line, and that'll get out of play into the bushes. That line, this right field line here at IHA, it's a multi-purpose field. They play soccer, lacrosse, all other field sports here, as well as
you
softball.
Can see it on our camera here, panning around, seeing the other teams in the soccer area of the field.
Pitch misses upstairs. I suspect, I don't know this for a fact, but I suspect that when the trees have leaves, it's probably a very, very pretty sight. Of course, trees lining the entire perimeter of the field with the school behind us. Swing and a miss. And down goes Kerr. That is now 6 strikeouts for Thomas, and each of the last 4 outs that she has recorded have been via the strikeout.
She is dealing right now, and
she is.
know Emily Walter can as well. I'm sorry, Steph Thomas.
And she has 31 strikeouts in 24 and a third innings pitched and a half swing by Michaela Power. I'm going to say she went around, and she absolutely did. The count 0-1.
You did the math quicker than me. I was trying to get it done. Very impressive.
Yeah, that's about as advanced as my math will get. Simple addition. This is the check swing, foul down the right field line. And quickly here, the count 0-2.
Power off to a good start, 375, 4 RBI, and a stolen base, as well as a double on this young season. But, of course, 0 for 1 tonight.
Thomas working quickly. The pitch. In there for a called strike 3. A little bit of a delayed strike call that time by Vic Shacamento. So they call him Vic Shack. Who'd have figured that that would be the nickname? And that is now 3 straight strikeouts for Steph Thomas. And 5 of the last 6 batters have all struck out. That is an absolutely dominating stretch right now for Steph Thomas. And we said it'll be interesting to see how she settles in after struggling a little bit in the third. And, well, she seems to have done that pretty well as the pitch misses for a ball.
Catherine Bromiley up to bat, struggling so far, hitting only 100, but does have 4 RBI and 2 runs scored. Both times she's gotten on base, she must have come around to score.
Yeah, she singled and came around to score in her last at-bat, so continuing that streak of getting on base and finding a way to score. This is the count now 1-1. Thomas delivers. Change up, hit high, and in foul territory moving over is Sharma, and she's not going to be able to get there. Sharma and Guevara kind of converged on that one, and it seemed like perhaps whoever was calling for it called a little bit late. And the ball ended up falling foul.
Moved a lot in the air, too.
So the count now, 1 ball and 2 strikes to the center fielder, Bromiley.
Thomas looking for a first 1-2-3 inning.
She fouls that one back into the trees. Bromiley wearing number 84. I did not know they made softball jerseys that went that high, but
I'll tell you, nobody else is over 30 on either team. So she's got some space between her and her comrades.
But I like it. Pitch just missed that time. The count now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Thomas does her routine. She goes in the back. Other pitching circle picks up something that isn't quite a rosin bag and then toes the rubber again. Pitch fouled back into the trees. We'll do it again at 2-2.
Bromiley fighting up there. That the pitch before last, she even looked back to see if it was a called strike. It caught a lot of the corner, I thought, but as once again, for those of you just joining us, the geography here isn't the most conducive for Joe and I to call balls and strikes, which is why we're not doing it.
Yeah, usually get that high home angle. Not so much here today, as that one's tattooed to center field, and that's going to bounce off the fence. But it will be a long single, as Angelina McGuire did an excellent job that time of getting to the ball quickly, even though it was hit over her head. And obviously with the smaller dimensions in the softball field, just because it hits off the fence doesn't necessarily guarantee a couple of bases. And a good job of getting that one in quickly and holding Bromiley to a single. But Bromiley now 2 for 2 on the day. And that'll bring up Kara Ousley, who reached when she was trying to sacrifice. She swings and misses at the first pitch in her last at-bat. She was able to push the sacrifice bunt past the charging third baseman Reese Guevara and end up reaching. She would get as far as third base, but would be stranded there last inning. Pitch on the way, line drive right at the second baseman Reagan Jones, who picks it out of the air, and that will end the inning. But a couple of hard hit balls there by those last 2 batters. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th. It's 7 for the IHA Blue Eagles and 1 for the Wildcats of St. Joe's Hamilton.
Steph Thomas still dealing. Has not been able to get through a 1-2-3 inning yet. Has actually only given up 3 hits. A couple of errors behind her. But the last inning, of course, only 1 hit and no runs come around. So we still have that 6-run deficit for the visiting team.
Yeah, and the Wildcats, 5 runners left on base through these first 4 innings. They've had some opportunity, but Thomas has been able to work her way out of it and has been doing a good job of that. But certainly those missed opportunities are things that they're going to look back on at the end of this game if they're not able to come back, as perhaps chances that they had that they couldn't quite convert on.
Absolutely. As IHA digs back in here, we're back up to the top of the lineup, and that's going to be pitcher Steph Thomas, 1 for 1 today. A double in the first and a walk in the second.
That'll be Thomas, Guevara, and Ibarra, 1, 2, and 3. And a couple of rhyming names in there as well. Getting set is Dominique DeAndrea. For the first pitch of the inning, Thomas peers down to the third base coach's box where IHA manager Anthony Lareza stands. She now digs in. DeAndrea toes the rubber, and we are set to go here in the bottom of the fourth, 7-1 IHA. First pitch misses high and outside for a ball, 1-0.
Thomas hitting .417 coming into today. Does have a stolen base, which is impressive considering she has been pinch run for both times she reached in this game.
Pitch on the way. In there for a cold strike. The count now even at 1-1. Saw Thomas back in her first at bat come about 5 inches away from hitting her first home run of the season. She ended up settling for a double off the top of the fence. She chops this one to third, power deals, and fires across to first in time. 5-3 in the scorebooks, and that's how the first out goes here in the fourth inning.
Hit that ball hard too, but right to the third baseman, had a couple of bounces and was able to play it. Kayla Power got the high bounce, fired a strike over to get the speeding Thomas.
And so that'll bring up Reese Guevara, the third baseman, batting lefty, right-handed thrower. She swings the first pitch and pops it up over towards Power, who cuts across the infield and makes the shoestring basket catch for out number 2. Wasn't the prettiest of catches, but it got the job done that time.
Busy inning for Power. She struggled a little bit in the first inning with her defense, but has come back strong here and has made the first 2 outs for her pitcher, Dominique DeAndrea.
So that'll bring up Daniela Ibarra, committed to play next year at the University of Iowa. Anthony Areza says that he has coaches and college scouts come up and tell him that Ibarra is the best shortstop they have ever seen as she fouls the first pitch back, and we've certainly seen a lot of her skill on display here this morning.
Absolutely.
Barb actually played baseball her entire life up until high school. As that pitch skips in. A ball and a strike, now the count.
1 for 2, had an RBI double in the second. Came around to score later on in the inning. That was the big inning where they scored 4 runs, they being IHA.
And that pitch misses. The count now 2 balls and 1 strike.
Ibarra once again, not off to the hot start she's used to. 250 with only an RBI, but 4 runs scored, 1 stolen base, and of course she's added an RBI today.
And that pitch is low and in the dirt. The count now 3 balls and a strike. So perhaps a good pitch coming up here is, boy, looking across the outfield, how deep these outfielders are playing. Ground ball up the middle, base hit center field. And Ibarra now 2 for 3 on the day. She collects a single up the middle here with 2 outs. Keep the inning alive.
You heard that cut there. She hit that ball hard right into the ground, but hard enough to squirt through the middle pretty easily. No one came close to snagging that ball. Hit it pretty hard.
That'll bring up Angelina McGuire on the season. Only hitting .222, but she's got a couple extra base hits, a triple and a home run so far. She fouls first pitch back. She'll be playing softball at Fairfield in college. At least that's where she is committed to go. One of 4 players from this IHA team committed to play next year.
3 RBI and 3 runs scored coming into today.
Ibarra off with the pitch, and she's going to make it into second base with a stolen base.
Ibarra's second stolen base on the season.
The pitch was a ball.
Position.
And so the count now 1-1 to Angelina McGuire, the center fielder and cleanup hitter. The pitch on the way. In there for a cold strike. The count now 1-2.
McGuire 0 for 1, drew a walk in the first and later came around to score. Got a stolen base as well.
Very dangerous power hitter. Now the runner in scoring position, but 2 outs and 2 strikes against her. Pitch on the way. Popped up in foul territory. Over for a look at it as DeAndrea. She slides and makes the catch and then crashed into the dugout. Teammates crowding around her to see if she's all right. I'm not quite sure if she is.
Yeah,
limping a little
is.
bit into the dugout, but what a great play.
Great play. You know, she popped up right away to show that she was okay. Then her teammate slowed her down, said, just take your time. You're okay. And sure enough, she was. Walks over and
Got out of that inning unscathed despite giving up a hit.
Yeah, and you know, it's not often that you see a pitcher making a play like that on a foul ball in foul territory, but a very good job that time of recognizing that she was going to be the only one that was going to be able to get to that ball, and then getting over there, going into the slide to avoid the contact with the oncoming fence.
You're right, Joe. She didn't hesitate.
no question in her mind that was her ball to get, and sure enough, no one else would have gotten to it. So a nice play by the pitcher, DeAndrea.
So we will head to the top of the 5th. It'll be Carly Testa, Kyra Barrios, and Emily DeMarco, 1, 2, and 3 in the lineup for St. Joe's against Steph Thomas out there for her 5th inning of work.
Testa once again comes into this game hitting .727. We've mentioned it before, as a home run and a triple. So swinging for the fence there. Good slugging percentage as well. 2 RBI and 5 runs scored. Does a nice job setting the table for St. Joe's.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk nowadays about how what you want out of your leadoff hitter is a good on-base percentage as the first pitch misses. How about this? Coming in today's game, Carly Testa, .770 on-base percentage. I'll take it.
Yeah, sure enough, and has reached twice today without getting a hit or a walk, 2 errors. As Steph Thomas's defense hasn't done her any favors dealing with this leadoff hitter.
Yeah, and the one run that Thomas has allowed is an unearned run. And so still Steph Thomas yet to allow an earned run on this season. As that pitch is, I believe, going to be a cold strike. Yes.
Yeah,
2 balls and a strike. Vic Sacramento with the subdued call.
Her second unearned run on the season. That's all she's allowed.
And that one is a little bit more of an emphatic strike call. Perhaps he heard me now. 2-2. The count. Thomas goes back, picks up the rosin, toes the rubber once again, and is all set to go as Testa digs in. Testa, the best player on this St. Joe's team. And that's in there for strike 2. So I guess scoreboard operator was incorrect, and that was a ball, which is why it was more of a subdued call.
I suppose it must be 3-1 then.
Well, 3-2 now.
With that one, that is now 3-2. Sure enough.
The pitch hit on the ground over to Ibarra. Ranges over to her right, throws across the diamond at first, but it's not going to be in time to get Carly Testa, so she beats out an infield single and now has reached base for the 3rd time today, but only for the first time via a hit.
You know, when she led off the game, she had a similar rocket shot, but that one was clearly an error, as the throw went well over the head of the first baseman, and the throw would have beaten her there had it been accurate. This one, she definitely beat of her own accord.
Ball's chopped by Barrios, throw to first, a little bit high by Guevara, and it is in and out of the mitt of the second baseman, Reagan Jones, who had moved over to cover first base as the corners were charging. And so safe at second is going to be Barrios. Testa moves down to second on the sacrifice bunt.
Safe at first.
That is the second time that Barrios has turned around, squared around to bunt in this game. They did it in the first inning when Testa got on.
Good call.
And so St. Joe's looking to score some runs and play some smart small ball here.
Squaring around a bunt, giving herself up early is Emily DeMarco, perhaps trying to draw the infield in. Now pulls the bat back and takes a ball low, 1-0. That time the corner infielders were not charging, although they are playing in a little bit. Guevara just inside the third base bag. And you'll Cieslak just inside the first base bag, but that's nothing out of the ordinary. Square on a bunt, now pulling it back. The old Butcher Boy play is DeMarco, and she takes a called strike. So now the count 1-1.
You see that a lot in softball, especially with players who swing a lot, strike out a lot. Their coaches tell them to square around the bunt so they can see the ball better, even if they have no intention of actually bunting.
Well, DeMarco had the intention of bunting that time and just missed it. And then ended up hitting off the shin guard of Jayana Sharma. And the count now 1-2.
Once again, St. Joe's, a talented offensive team, runners on first and second with nobody out, looking to get back in this ball game. As time is called, looks like I don't think anyone's hurt with that ball off the shin.
Although we'll see.
Are they looking at the catcher? Yep, they are looking at the catcher.
Yeah, they're looking at Sharma. Sharma, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, in her first season as the starter here at IHA, she was stuck behind All-American Alec Vergona up until last season, and I was talking with, once again, Anthony Lareza, and he said she just had the misfortune of being born in the wrong year. If she was born a couple of years later, that would have been much better. But, you know, she was stuck behind Vergona for all those years, and now finally getting an opportunity here. She's been doing relatively well here to start the season. Well, and that might be the understatement of the century, hitting .625 coming into this game with a home run in yesterday's ball game, which put IHA up. And from all accounts, it was an absolute monster. And if you want to see that absolute monster, you can go back and watch yesterday's game here on our YouTube channel.
That's right.
NJ Newsfeed is our YouTube channel. Also, NJ.org, the website where you can catch all of our great games. You can like us on Facebook, NJ.org Varsity, the name of the page there. Our Twitter account, at NJ.org Varsity, all one word, no dot in that one. You get all the updates from the games that we have there. And a nice round of applause here as...
Okay, she's coming out.
All right, looks like Sharma will be exiting the game. We'll get you the update on the new catcher as soon as we get it.
Yeah, we don't have eyes on who put on the catcher's gear. We'll try and find that for you.
As soon as we can.
Looks like number 13. No, not number 13.
It's either 13 or 18 from what I was able to
18.
see.
Sure enough, it's number 18, Sarah Browning, a sophomore, the backup catcher on this team.
It should be emphasized that the camera angle that you are seeing is the exact angle, albeit a little bit better as to our vantage point. Looking at this game, so you are seeing the game almost exactly the way that we are.
Indeed.
And so it can be a little tough to identify a number when there are things like long hair and catcher's gear in the way of said
on top of
numbers.
The distance.
Reset the situation here as catcher Pollard
gets ready. Browning,
excuse me. I am all over the place right now. It is Browning in there behind the plate. She'll slide into the lineup, hitting in Sharma's place, which was actually due up second next inning.
And we will see Browning actually does not have a plate appearance to this point. So getting in for her first bit of action, the underclassmen.
So we're all set to go. Runners will take their leads. It's Berrios from first. Carly Testa, the catcher, from second base. Well, they won't take their leads because there's no leading in softball. Just went into default baseball mode. And Thomas will go back and juggle the rosin a little bit in her hand while we wait for Vic Sacramento to get back behind home plate. Wearing the sunglasses, he puts the mask back on, and we are all set to go. Nobody out in the bottom of the fifth. The count, 1-2 strikes, and the pitch misses upstairs. It gets away, and the runners will move up to second and third, and just like that, there's the impact of the new catcher as the ball got away from Browning. Still will go down as a wild pitch.
Looks pretty high there. Sure enough, she was tested right away, but it taken a basketball player to put their glove on that one from a squatting position.
Yeah, they got a basketball player at first base, not necessarily behind the plate. Browning squares around, pulls it back like she did earlier in the at-bat. And that time we'll take that pitch for a ball, and the count now 2 balls and 2 strikes.
DeMarco, of course, big hitter, 333, 2 RBI on this young season. And has just improved her .444 on base percentage with that walk.
And so the base is now loaded with Wildcats and nobody out. We've seen this situation before back in the 3rd inning when the Wildcats loaded the bases with nobody out. Thomas was able to limit the damage to just 1 run that time as Dominique DeAndrea steps in and swings and misses. At the first pitch for a strike 0-1, DeAndrea actually had the lone RBI on an infield single, a ball that Daniela Ibarra laid out for but could not corral. As that pitch misses for a ball, 1-1.
And sure enough, back-to-back appearances by DeAndrea with the sacks full. So often when you're struggling on the mound, it feels good to be able to do something with the bat.
Yeah. And mentioned that 3rd inning, Thomas ended up striking out the side. She really dug down deep and found something, got Barrios looking, DeMarco swinging, allowed the infield single to DeAndrea, and then got Sicoli swinging as well to end that inning. She's going to need to pull off a similar Houdini act here. IHA leads 7-1. But St. Joe's is threatening as the pitch is in there for a called strike. 1-2 now the count to DeAndrea, the pitcher and cleanup hitter for St. Joe's.
I'm sure IHA would tell you not to count this offense out. They are a very talented group with the bats.
The pitch is fouled back and into the trees, and the count remains at 1-2. And you mentioned the talented offense for St. Joe's, and like mentioned, they've scored 8 runs in their first game. That was an 8-1 win over Abbascami. They won against Egg Harbor 9-1 as that pitch misses outside. The count now 2-1. And they scored 10 runs on Friday in a victory on the road against Audubon. So obviously the 1 run, by far the fewest they've been held to this season.
27 in 3 games.
That one is fouled back. And we'll do it again at 2-2.
Means they're averaging 9 a game, so I just did some simple division there, just trying to one-up you a little bit.
Yeah, well, you do the addition. I'll do the addition. You stick to division, and I think we'll have everything we need just in that. Ground ball, second base. Jones going to try and turn 2, goes to Ibarra for 1. Relay throw back to first is not even going to be close to being in time. The run will come in, though, on the fielder's choice. That'll be Testa coming in to score the 2nd run of the game. Moving down to 3rd is Barrios. Out at 2nd, Emily DeMarco. And DeAndrea safe at 1st on the 4-6. Fielder's choice for the 1st out of the inning. Now runners on the corners for Taylor Sicoli, the shortstop. Has the only home run as one of the home runs, one of the 3 that St. Joe's has hit so far on this season.
2 runs for St. Joe's, both driven in by the pitcher.
Although no RBI on that first one because it was an unearned run.
That's right.
That pitch misses for a ball. Scully now ahead in the count 2-0.
Sicoli 0 for 2 tonight. Looking to get on the board here and get her team back in this game.
Bluffs a bunt, pulls it back, takes a strike. Olivia Kerr on deck in case we get that far.
As DeAndrea takes 2nd, stolen base there.
And by that I mean barring a double play because there's only 1 out. The count 1-2. Scully, the shortstop today. Fly ball hit pretty deep to left field. Settling under it's Emily Walter. She's got it. She'll fire in. Run will come in.
A nice play by Walter to get that ball in. They almost had a play on DeAndrea, who wandered a little far off 2nd, but was able to get back in time. Either way, the sac fly is going to plate the 3rd run of the game.
And so just little by little, they start chipping away at the IHA lead due to the St. Joe's Wildcats. And now it's 7-3. Now with 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. Time, of course, is running out. And Olivia Kerr at the plate. Best power hitter on this St. Joe's team. She fouls the first pitch off down the first base side. And out of play, the count 0-1. Walter with a pretty good arm out in left field, though it is the weakest of the three arms in the IHA outfield.
Kerr's got a lot of power, so can't let it get over her head.
The pitch swung on and missed. 0-2. Steph Thomas trying to work her way out of this one, limiting the damage. So far, 2 runs are in. The first 2 earned runs of the season allowed by Steph Thomas. Pitch swung on and missed. Strike 3. And down goes Kerr for the 3rd out in the inning. But 2 runs come in on, just 1 hit. No errors and 2 left on base. And just 1 left on base at the end of 4.5. The score, IHA Blue Eagles 7, St. Joe's Hamilton Wildcats 3.
And sure enough, St. Joe's, as we mentioned, a very good offense, but have been fairly neutralized by Steph Thomas. Only 1 earned run, 2 of them were unearned, and of course she also had a walk. She's averaging about 1 a game, so IHA hopes she got her one out of the way here with about 2 innings left to go.
Coming up in the bottom of the 5th inning for IHA, it'll be Rachel Pollard, Sarah Browning, who came in, of course, as the injury replacement for Jana Sharma, and Emily Cieslak, 5, 6, and 7 in the lineup.
For those of
I'll
you
go against
just
DeAndrea.
joining us once again, IHA Softball playing for a purpose, supporting Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Foundation. You can make a pledge for runs scored or strikeouts thrown, and that is all going to help raise money for cancer. Be sure you visit the website mskcc.convio.net/go-to/playing for a purpose. A good, nice thing they're doing there here at IHA.
It certainly is. And so Pollard will dig in. She is 1 for 2 on the day. She's got an infield single and came around to score back in the first, and she lined out to center field on a hard hit ball in her last at bat. That was all the way back in the 2nd inning.
Drove in the first 2 runs of the game. I'm sorry, the 2nd and 3rd run of the game. 2 RBI in the first inning.
Pitch in there for a strike. The count 1 ball and 1 strike. Here to Rachel Pollard, who is actually the number 2 pitcher for IHA. She pitched against St. Joe's when they scrimmaged each other back in March. And after that scrimmage, as the pitch misses upstairs, after that scrimmage, Candy Dean, the head coach of St. Joe's, went up to Anthony Loreza and said, "Boy, is that your number 1?" And he said, "No, you'll see her on April 6th, as that pitch misses. And Anthony Loreza actually really praised Pollard's pitching ability, saying that if she'd have gone to her public high school, which would have been Emerson High School, she could have been an all-state pitcher, but instead chose to come here to IHA, play the outfield. So that pitch misses, and that is ball 4, and Pollard will take her base. And that is the first walk issued since the 2nd inning for Dominique DeAndrea. Remember, she walked 4 batters in those first 2 innings. Seemingly settled down, though, in the last few frames. And that'll bring up Sarah Browning, getting her first at-bat of the season. Interesting batting stance, and she'll square around a bunt, gets down a nice sack bunt. Power, throws it away, though. And going down to 3rd will be Rachel Pollard. Trying for 2nd is Browning. She's going to be out. Relay throw back at 3rd. She's safe.
That was an exciting play. Just to walk you through it again, Sarah Browning in her first at-bat lays down the bunt. It was a nice bunt. Moved the runner up effectively. The throw from Michaela Power went well over the head of the first baseman. However, quick reactions by the right fielder backing her up fired a strike to 2nd to get Sarah Browning, the backup catcher, who tried to take 2nd on the overthrow, was thrown out. And then immediately the ball was thrown by Taylor Sicoli back over to 3rd. And they almost picked off the runner there, who wandered a little bit too far. The runner, of course, being Rachel Pollard. Yeah,
it's the classic sack bunt E5-9-6 fielder's choice play. You'll see a handful of those a game. As Emily Cieslak will dig in for the third time. She's 0 for 2 on the day. Flew out to left field to end the first inning and struck out back in the third.
And
But,
that is a lot to write.
It was an interesting play, to say the least. Can't say we'll see many of those ever again. That was also an interesting play right there. As that pitch bounced, then came up, and it appeared to have hit something. It was either Cieslak's foot or home plate, and then came up and hit Cieslak in the arm.
That was an interesting play. And now there's going to be runners on the corners with one out. IHA threatening to extend their lead after scoring 7 runs in the first 3 innings. Well, they've scored a run every inning, haven't they? No, except for the last. I'm sorry, 7 runs in the first 2 innings.
Yeah,
and no runs since then.
Yeah, they
Got
scored.
My hits mixed up.
They scored 3 in the first, 4 in the second. As we're going to get a courtesy runner here at first base.
Can't see the number. Looks like number 11, Taylor Gallagher, pitcher, and a backup pitcher, backup outfielder, the underclassman. She's a sophomore.
Well, that is who it is. So Gallagher on first, Pollard on third. At the plate, Emily Walter. On the broadcast, Joe Vasile alongside Tom Alsip. On camera, Jay Treble. Pitch misses for ball 1-0. Thank you very much for joining us here, on whether it's on NJ.org, on our YouTube channel, NJ Newsfeed, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it archived. Thank you.
We're just glad you're watching.
Yeah.
We got a good one here.
Well, we certainly
IHA
do.
Invitational.
And you know, after those first 2 innings, it looked like it was going to be all IHA, but boy, St. Joe's has really settled down and has made this a ball game, slowly trying to chip away at the lead. But as we start to get later here in this game, they're going to have to start making more happen against Steph Thomas. And, of course, now more times through the lineup, the easier it becomes to hit the pitcher.
The biggest key for
Bunted on
Joe's,
foul.
The biggest key for St. Joe's will be keeping IHA off the board to keep this deficit where it is. And that's going to be tough with runners on the corners and 1 out here.
Well, we've seen the ability of DeAndrea on the mound here today. Like you said, she struggled a little bit at the onslaught of this game, but has settled down quite nicely. Pitch on the way, misses down to second. Goes the runner, and there's that other play where the second baseman will cut in front. So now I've seen a couple of different plays on that runner on first stealing with a runner on third situation that we see so often in softball. The count 2-2.
Cieslak on second now with the stolen base.
I'm sorry, number 11, the pinch runner came in for Cieslak. That's Taylor Gallagher, my mistake, as that pitch is taken for a ball. 3-2, full count now.
Gallagher on second, Pollard on third. The pitch to Walter. Misses for ball 4, and the bases are loaded with just 1 away here in the 5th.
Second walk of the inning, and you worry that DeAndrea is having the control issue she had early on this game. Starting to warm up, but starting to get a little windy too.
Juliana Kacha at the plate. She takes the first pitch high for a ball 1-0.
We're not 0 for 2 tonight.
And we're not really seeing a lot of what we saw earlier in the game where DeAndrea was having trouble locating the ball low.
Right.
Now she seems to be missing up with a lot of her pitches and not being able to hit the corners. So that pitch misses inside. The count now 2 balls and no strikes.
She's staying out of hitters' counts, which has helped, but she's working up quite the pitch count to this point in the game.
Infield playing shallow. I won't say that it's in, but certainly halfway at very least is the pitch in there for a called strike. The count now 2 balls and 2 strikes. To Kacha, the designated player, outfield playing very deep, not allowing anything over their heads here. They'll surrender a single. The pitch swung on and missed. And down goes Kacha for the second time today. struck out looking back in the second, and that is out number 2 here in the 5th. And Steph Thomas will come up, and if DeAndrea can retire her here, that would be huge for St. Joe's and huge on her mind to be able to work through this. Thomas at the plate, 1 for 2 on the day officially. She doubled in the first, walked and came around to score in the second, and grounded out to third in her last at-bat in the 4th.
I believe it was her pinch runner who came around to score, actually, in the second.
Pitch in there for a strike. Outfield still playing deep. Infield has moved back to normal depth.
2 outs here
with 2
in
outs.
the inning. IHA can really blow it open here.
Pitch. Ground ball hit sharply up the middle. That's going to be a base hit. Pollard will come in to score, and holding at their other bases are Gallagher at third. Remember, she's the courtesy runner for Emily Cieslak. Emily Walter will hold at second, and Thomas is aboard at first with an RBI single, her first RBI of the season.
Still playing very, very well, responsible for 3 runs now, though her courtesy runner got a few of those runs scored.
Pitch, line drive, base hit in the left field for Reese Guevara. Once again, the merry-go-round in motion. Runners move up 1 station apiece. And the score now 9-3 in favor of the Blue Eagles. The bases remain loaded, and Daniela Ibarra, the last person that Dominic DeAndrea wants at the plate, will be stepping in.
In fact, Ibarra is 2 for 3 today. Has an RBI already with an RBI double in the second, and looking to extend here.
First pitch on the way, drive center field. It's going to get past a diving Bromiley and go to the wall. 1 run is in, 2 runs are in. Here comes Guevara around third. She's going to be in there safely, sliding into third with a triple, clearing the bases, and 3 RBIs is the shortstop, Daniela Ibarra. And this one, like you said, they're waiting to blow it open, and there it is.
Going to be very tough to come back now, especially with the limited amount of time, and especially the way Steph Thomas is dealing. 9-3. I'm sorry, 11-3. Had to do that math in my head.
Yeah, they haven't quite updated the scoreboard. Now they have.
There it is, 11-3. She tattooed that ball, and a tough play for the center fielder, Catherine Bromiley. She made the dive, and the ball went over her head. A mistake from the young outfielder. That is the first rule. If you don't get to the ball, just keep it in front of you. She misjudged it, and it ended up rolling all the way to the wall.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough play to make. The ball was tailing away from her hip from the lefty Ibarra, but, you know, you can't really fault that as we're going to get a pitching change here. And a new pitcher will get you updated on exactly who that is. It appears to be Sicoli coming in to pitch, and it looks like DeAndrea is moving over to shortstop with this, and so just an even 1-for-1 switch.
That's right.
For St. Joe's here. The score, well, now they've got up on the scoreboard 12-3. That's not.
You know, I don't.
That is correct.
Yet.
12-3. They've scored 5 runs here in this 5th inning. Angelina McGuire will come up to the plate to be the 9th batter in this inning for IHA. Here's what happened. Rachel Pollard led off. She walked. She then had a courtesy runner come in for her. Then Sarah Browning came up, got her first at-bat of the game. She sacrifice bunted. Remember, it was that weird play. The sacrifice bunt coming in was Michaela Power. She fielded and fired it wild into right field, which allowed Pollard's courtesy runner to get all the way to third. Unfortunately, Browning was cut down trying to get to second. Then Cieslak was hit by a pitch. Walter walked as the first pitch to McGuire. Misses for a ball 1-0. Walter walked, and so you had the bases loaded. Juliana Kacha struck out. So bases loaded, 2 outs, no runs had scored. Then a single from Steph Thomas scored a run, a single from Reese Guevara scored a run, and then a triple from Ibarra scored a run, and now Ibarra will come in to score as Angelina McGuire lines one up into center field for a base hit. 6 runs have now come into score in this inning for IHA, and that is going to be the end of this game. The 10-run mercy rule here in the 5th inning. 13-3, the final in 5 innings. As this one has come to an abrupt finish, and boy, not what we thought we were going to see.
Not at all. You know, St. Joe's has not played a team as talented as IHA, but you knew Steph Thomas was good. You didn't know she'd be able to hold this team to 3 runs, and then IHA's bats just came alive. Immaculate Heart Academy, 2 runs in the first, 3 runs in the first, 4 in the second. And then, of course, they just got a whole bunch here. I'm still doing my addition.
6.
Would that be 6? Here?
No, excuse me.
It'd have to be 7, wouldn't it?
7, yeah.
7 here in the 5th inning.
No, just 6. Excuse me. I don't know. I'm not a math major.
See, and there it is. You're in charge of the addition. I do the division.
That's, I was starting to do subtraction, and we got in a bit of a mess. But nonetheless, boy, what an inning there. I was trying to recap it a little bit, but talk about that play with Browning at the plate.
Right. It was
never seen something like that.
A very confusing play, and she ended up being thrown out from right field after she tried to take second on the error. But after that, everyone else came alive. A hit batsman and a walk loaded the bases. As you mentioned, we had the strikeout for the second out. The majority of the damage, in fact, all the damage in the inning came with 2 outs in the inning. RBI single from Thomas, RBI single from Guerrera, 3 RBIs on the triple from Ibarra, and then, of course, Angelina McGuire, the center fielder, ended things with her RBI single. 4 straight hits, all of them plating runs, and that is what wrapped things up here with a final score of 13-3. IHA, the home team, takes the win over St. Joseph's Hamilton. The Wildcats there, and they're going to get their first loss on the season, move to 3-1, while IHA stays undefeated, moves to 4-0. And they are off to a hot start. The number 24 team wins back-to-back days. They won yesterday 5-0 over Pennsbury. 13-3 here, the game called after 5 innings due to the 10-run mercy rule. And I would not be surprised if they move up in the rankings with this recent run of games here.
Yeah, it certainly should be. As I mentioned, they are number 24 in the Max Preps Excellent 25 rankings nationally, but number 1 in the state of New Jersey by just about any publication that put out a ranking.
That's right.
So far this season, and like you said, Anthony Reza's got the eyes set on the Triple Crown. He said like any other team would expect to do, and obviously every team starts out looking to win, but certainly this IHA team has got the goods that it's going to take to do that, win the league, the county, and the state tournament this season, and we saw exactly why there. They've got great pitching in Steph Thomas. They can beat good teams,
right.
Good offenses like St. Joe's.
Right.
St. Joe's was averaging 9 runs a game coming into today. They shut them down, held them to just 2 earned runs today. And obviously the bats came alive there in the 5th to the point where they batted around, scored 6 runs, and ended up getting the 10-run mercy rule.
Absolutely, and the hits just kept on coming. I was unable to keep them tallied there. 1, 2, 3, 4 extra.
4, 8, 9, 10 hits.
Yeah.
Double-digit hits, double-digit runs for sure. We had a few errors and a couple of walks, score some extra runs than hits. Steph Thomas, of course, as you mentioned, spun a gem there. And then the bats came alive for IHA, more so than we've seen them so far this year. We know they're a good offensive team. They look like a great offensive team today.
And so the final line scores here for these two teams. For IHA, 13, 10, 2, and 2 left on base. And for St. Joe's Hamilton, 3, 4, 2, and 6 left on base. The winning pitcher, Steph Thomas, she moves to 4-0 on the season. Dominique D'Andrea gets her first loss. She moves to 3-1. Time of the game, 1 hour and 48 minutes. You're in game 1 of day 2 of the IHA Invitational. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you the action here on NJ.org Varsity. We'll have broadcast tomorrow, 4 o'clock at St. Peter's Prep. St. Peter's against Montclair Kimberly. Lacrosse, Mark and Sarah and myself will be on the call for that one. So for Jay Treble on camera, Tom Allsip, I'm Joe Vasile. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow on NJ.org Varsity.